You're doing it wrong. I love choice. When Mass Effect was first coming out, they were promising a huge epic. A game where the choices you made would have ramifications in other games. Yeah, it didn't do that. As a matter of fact, games seem to struggle with choice on the whole, from binary good and evil choices that really just range from a normal person to a fucking psychopath, to supposed huge gameplay differences that really just boil down to how I kill everything in the room. Games in general need a lesson on how to do choice right, and I'm gonna give it to them. Disclaimer. I am aware that The Witcher is considered a game that does choice right. I, however, have trouble really getting into the series, so while The Witcher may or may not do some of the things I'm about to say, the majority of the games don't, so fucking can it. Games like to give you the illusion of choice all the time. Do you kill this person? Do you let them live? Do you take the money? Do you let them keep it? Often narrative choices are the go-to for most games because they're easy to do and have easy to see feedback. But not only do most games just do nothing with it beyond the here and now, they rarely do anything cool with it or just let it go. So let's get a basic tenet on choice out of the way right now. If you're giving a player a choice that will affect the narrative down the line, keep it within the narrative. Games tend to want to add rewards to the choices you make. Take this choice, get this. Take this choice, get that. This is not always inherently a bad thing, and it can be used in a limited aspect to say something about the choice at hand. But if you want the choice to mean something beyond the reward attached to it, you need to keep everything about the choice within the narrative. Otherwise, the player is not looking at the choice itself, save this person or not, do the right thing or not. They're looking at the reward and asking, do they need it? Does it fit my playstyle, etc., etc. These rules also apply to good and evil systems. If you attach rewards for either being a big saint or a big dick, in the end, the player won't care about the choice ahead of them. They only care about what they get from a gameplay sense, not a narrative sense. Now, narrative choice does not always need to be tied to dialogue, though if you have played any game which spouted choice as a feature, then you'll be forgiven for thinking so. Based on how a character approaches a situation, do they kill the guards or let them live, do they clear out an area or straight beat for the target, these things are choices within the gameplay and can be used to affect the narrative as well. Dishonored does something like this, non-lethal route more stable done well, lethal route unstable done well, but don't go far with it, preferring to take a good evil route in disguise. It should also be said that if gameplay affects the narrative, it should be obvious that it does. Not how it affects the narrative, but it should be known that what you're doing will somehow affect the narrative down the line. Something as simple as a character stating a small line is all that is needed, like this might come to bite us in the ass later. Choice does not need to be restricted in narrative though. Choice on how you play your game could be just as important, even more so since it affects how you go through the game more, but is rarely explored. Classes are often the go-to way of making choice from a gameplay perspective. After all, a fighter with a big sword is going to be different than a mage with magic spells, but I don't think that's enough. For the most part, when you use a class system, all it does is determine how you kill things when it could be used for so much more. For example, let's say you're a warrior. Instead of just beating things down, you could challenge the leader to a one-on-one fight, and if the player wins, the rest stand down. Or maybe if you're a mage, you can use your spells to disguise the party, allowing you to slip by unnoticed by all of them. This is only from a combat perspective, however, and the means with which to use gameplay choice not only for combat, but to explore the surrounding area along with gameplay choice affecting how the world reacts to you, is woefully underused. Let's jump from a fantasy setting to a futuristic setting. Let's say one character is an engineer and one is a soldier. They may have similar personalities, but how they approach a situation, or indeed how the world will react, will be different for each one of them because these two classes, or approaches if it's a freeform system, require a different set of skills. An engineer might find structural weaknesses to blow a hole in a building, or hack the system to bypass the doors. If in a dialogue with someone, they may suggest building something to solve the problems, or people might find them less threatening. A soldier, on the other hand, will approach from a different perspective. They may burst open the front door and open fire, or use their knowledge of tactics to figure out the least defended area of a building and sneak in that way. In dialogue, they may use their training to keep a person calm and be more threatening due to their military experience. The best kind of games that use this kind of choice are Deus Ex and the Fallout series. Often with Deus Ex, there will be multiple approaches to any situation, and you will sometimes not see whole sections of a level because you don't have the skills to reach them. Fallout is best when it comes to how you play affecting how you can affect the people around you. Certain dialogue options will become available if you have the right skills, representing that the skills you have allow you to view the world differently because of said skills. I would love to talk more about how to represent choice and more on implementation, but I've reached my time limit, so we'll all have to do this again on another episode. Before I go, I would like to point out that I understand that choice is by no means an easy thing to do. It often takes a lot of work and a lot of money to do even the easiest of things. But choice can often turn an okay game good, a good game great, and a great game a classic. And if you're going to do choice, you should go all in or not at all.